Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to make a design like this. And the great thing about this is that you don't necessarily need to be the greatest artist in order to do this. Now, if you can freehand and you can do your own designs, great. If not, you can still do this. So if you want to just have fun making some, digital designs like this is definitely the tutorial for you. If you know how to freehand, all the power to you. First of all, you're going to need an iPad. I believe this is an iPad Pro 11-inch, but I think any of the iPads are fine. And the reason why you need an iPad is that the app you're going to be using is Procreate, which is right here. Procreate is only available on iPads, or I guess Apple products. I think it's just iPads. You're going to need to have an iPad in order to do this. Besides that, I recommend having an Apple Pencil because doing some of the outlines and stuff like that's going to be a little hard with your finger, but you could give it a shot. Okay, so before you start on your drawing, you're going to want to find an image. Again, you can freehand it. You can, however you want to do it, but this is just if you want to just have fun, maybe you don't know how to sketch too well, this is a way to do that. So if you're planning on selling your image or your design, you're going to need to get a royalty-free image, okay? So the site that I use for that is Pexels, and that's PEXELS.com, and it's one of my favorite sites for this purpose. So you can go and look for whatever it is that you want to draw. He's cute. So I'm gonna go ahead and download that, save image, and we're gonna use that as our reference. Okay, so go back into Procreate. I'm going to, these are all the ones I've made. I'm going to just do a square image. Of course, if you're gonna wanna print this out, you'll wanna do, you can do different dimensions, but I'm gonna go with square. It's just my favorite go-to shape. Go ahead and add that image. So to do that, I'm going to this wrench here. I'm gonna click on add, insert a photo. Okay, that's gonna add it there. You can adjust it. I'm gonna put it more or less where I'm gonna want it to go, which is gonna be basically right about there. Okay, yeah, that looks about right. So that's on its own layer. Be careful not to draw on the image layer because you're not gonna be able to do the other things that I'm gonna show you. So you're gonna wanna create a new layer. And for the outline, what I normally use is script, and I believe that is under calligraphy. Okay, cool. So I think I did make some minor adjustments to the settings of this brush, and one of the main things I did was adjust the stabilization. So I'm just gonna show you some of the settings I have here. So I have this streamline setting to 83%, stabilization to 10%, maybe just look at these other adjustments. I don't remember exactly what I did here, but so we're making sure I'm on that layer. So that one of the first things I'm gonna do actually is reduce the opacity of this a little bit so that way I can see my lines. I'm gonna go back to my outline layer. Okay, that thickness looks okay. I'm gonna go ahead and just start outlining. So I'm picky, but you can make these outlines thicker if you want. This thickness is fine for me, but you're basically just gonna go around and outline the dog or whatever it is that you're deciding to do. Again, you can always do your own sketch. You don't have to trace over something, but if you just wanna have fun, and you're not maybe that great at doing your own drawings, this is totally acceptable. People might judge you, but who cares what they think, because everybody's got opinions on things. So this is something I'm kind of doing unconsciously, but there are pressure dynamics here, so if I go lightly, it's going to be a real thin line. If I press harder, it's going to be a thicker line. So that's just something that's going to take some practice. You can adjust the settings so that it's all one thickness, but I'm going to stick with what I have here. But this is just something that takes some practice to kind of get the hang of. when you're doing this, I would try not to worry too much about being absolutely perfect with this. It can be easy to be too nitpicky and then it just becomes not fun. So just have fun with it, you know? Again, you know, some of this is going to take some practice. Now, I have my go-to little parts that I put accents on. This is just from drawing a lot of dogs and animals in general, but you just want to look for some of the parts where you want to bring out the attention, otherwise it can be a little bit flat. But again, I wouldn't really worry about any of this too much. I would just have fun. Play around with it, see what looks good. You know, turn off the image, see what it looks like. You know, like that's fine the way it is, but I'm going to add a few more details. Some of the fur. Sometimes it can look weird and I'll just like not use a different brush for that. Sometimes it'll look a little weird if I put certain details, so I'll just remove it. But just experiment with it. Don't worry about it too much. I think art should be fun, so stick with that. Good, I think we're good on that. Yeah, that's okay. Get the pupils. No, actually, I'm gonna add that later. You don't have to match exactly what it is, that exactly where the light spot is. You can add it later and I'll show you. Okay, cool. So let's see what it looks like. That's where we're at on this, and I think I'm fine with that. I may add one more detail in the ear just to kind of match what I have on the other one. Add a little detail. See what that looks like. Oh, I'm gonna add this too. I'm actually going to use one other brush, which is monoline. This one is not pressure sensitive. I think I may have set it up that way. I don't remember now if that's the default settings, but that's great for this kind of stuff. I want that to be a good circle though. Great. Okay, good. So I think we have the basic layout of this dog. I'm going to get rid of the image at this point. And I am going to add some little light highlights. Just want to make sure that they are positioned the same on each eye, more or less. There we go. That's fine. We're going to go with that. Okay, good. So now I'm going to make another layer. I'm going to bring it below this one, and I am going to create a layer that I can draw on. I don't know. There's probably terminology for this, and I don't know what it is, but I'm going to get rid of the background so that I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to use a monoline for this one. You see the thickness? It's a little bit too thick for what I'm about to do. But basically, what I'm going to do is create a layer that I can draw on, where I'm going to be adding all of the color. So this is what I'm basically doing. I'm going around the outline of the dog. Kind of missed that a little bit there. And you'll see how this is used later. So the reason why I draw that line out like that is because otherwise, if I let my pen go, I'm going to forget where I left off. So I just go like that. Just be careful not to, like, when you have these lines, don't do something like this, because then that won't get filled in. So just, yeah. Anyhow, I'm gonna go around the whole thing. Okay, good. So I'm also going to outline the eyes and the ear, no, sorry, the eyes and the nose, because I want that to be on its own layer. Otherwise it's gonna fill in the whole dog, which is fine, but I want these two to be separate layers for coloring. You'll see. So let me actually undo what I just did. 2 fingers. I'm gonna go around the nose on the outside of it. Actually, you know what? I just realized I don't actually need to do that. I can just put the layers above. So I'm gonna fill that. Whoop, wrong one. I'm going to fill this one. Then I'm actually going to hide it. I'm gonna go back to the next one. The reason why I hide it is that it'd be a little difficult for me to see what I'm doing if I was drawing on a white background. So I'm gonna repeat the process here. Okay, and then I'm going to make another layer. Just for the eyes. I think I might actually do just this. Usually I do the entire eye, but I think I want to leave that separate. Okay, cool. So there it is. So I have 3 layers here. I have the entirety of the dog, the nose. Here, I'm just gonna actually go through all of them. So we have the eyes as its own layer. We have the nose as its own layer, and we have the whole dog as its own layer. So we're gonna be drawing on each one of those. And this is something I learned relatively recently, which has totally changed this process. But so what we're gonna do is make it so that we can only draw on this white part of the dog, or like in the case of the nose, would be only the nose or only the eyes. So I'm gonna keep those highlighted, but in order to do that, we're gonna do the entire outline of the dog, which is this one here, and we're gonna select Alpha Lock. And that makes it so that when I draw, this is the brush I use, by the way, but I'll get into that a bit more in just a sec. When I draw, it only goes onto the dog itself. That's really light. Hold on. Okay. So it doesn't go outside of it. Otherwise, if I do not have that setting, it will do that. Okay. So that's the first thing. So now that I have the Alpha Lock set up, sometimes I'll just go through all of them and have the Alpha Lock set up. You just got to make sure you're coloring on the right layer, because if you're wanting to only get the eyes and you're over here, or if you only want to get the eyes and you're on the dog one, you're not going to get the eyes. Does that make sense? Hopefully. Anyways, so I have the Alpha Lock set up on all of these. And okay, so this is the brush I use. I use Wild Light. I was trying to zoom into that, which is under Artistic. Okay. And there are several color palettes, oh my goodness, that you can find here. So I actually just selected Flourish, which I believe just comes with Procreate, just because I liked what was there. So we're gonna go ahead and use that. Oops. And I'm gonna start with pink, and I'm just gonna have fun with it and just go kind of all over. Wouldn't worry about it, because you're going to be adding more later, or I mean, you'll be adding more colors as you go through this. So now the thing with this brush is that the harder you push, the lighter it's going to be. Okay, so if I don't push at all on this, it's going to be pretty thick, I guess. If I push, it's going to be very light. So you just got to find that sort of happy medium. However it is that you want it to look. There is no wrong way to do this. That's the good thing. So I usually go through all of the colors and sort of randomly put it around. There's no rhyme or reason really to this, so just play, see what you like. I'd say just keep going until you feel good about what the colors look like. I think it's okay. That works for me. All right, so now we're gonna go on to another layer here. Let's go ahead and do the nose. Now the nose I usually pick a darker color for. It may be on the color palette, it may not. I'm actually just going to use this dark purple and then I'm gonna make it darker. So let's just bring it down. You can also just drag it like that, but however you want to do it. Okay, I'm gonna make it a little bit more purple. Okay, good. So, again, make sure you have the nose layer selected. Now this one, I'll do one layer, not too light, not too dark, and then I'll do another one where I do the bottom a bit darker, and then I press harder as I go up. This is too big of a brush for that though. Okay. So darker at the bottom, and then I push as I go up so that it looks a little bit more highlighted. And that works for me. Okay, so now we're gonna do his eyes. So make sure you're on the eye layer. What color do I want to do for that? Let's try, I'm gonna try this yellow, or this, oh, I guess it's orange. Let's see how that turns out. Around the eyes, yeah, okay, good. I kind of like that. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little bit of dark on the outside of it, or at least just press. Okay. You gotta be careful sometimes with anything that's orange or yellow, because it can make them look a little jaundiced, I guess. But I think we'll be fine on that. Now another trick is if, let's say you choose this color and you're like, I don't know, maybe I want to see what it looks like in other colors. With that layer selected, of course, you can go to this little tool up here and then go to hue, and you can adjust that and see if maybe another color looks better. I also don't recommend red because it looks like they're stoned, but ooh, I like blue. Hello, that's good. Okay, cool. So we're gonna keep that. That looks great. Now you could add some other details to these little corners of the eyes there, which I think I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get this darker purple, make it a little bit darker, and then I'm going to actually change the opacity down a bit. Again, I'm on the dog layer for this, okay? Because otherwise it won't show up if I'm on a different one. Yeah, I'm just gonna fill that in like that. That way it kind of stands out. It just looks separate from the rest. Okay. Yeah, I kind of like that. Yeah, that works. I'm also going to do this here in the nostrils. I'm going to make that even darker. And I'm going to make this a bigger brush. I'm just going to do this. No, that doesn't look dark enough. Okay, so we're going to do darker here. So a light touch and then lighter, or push down as you go out. Oh, I messed up on that. There we go. Now if you mess up and it looks like too distinct of a difference, I guess, you can go to the eraser tool. There is a trick to this on using the same brush, but you'll want to find the same wild light, and use that to erase because it'll just look more, oh, never mind. I'm going to have to cut this part because that's not actually accurate. Never mind. Okay, good. I think we're pretty good on that. I'm going to fix this part here a little bit so it matches more. There we go. That's pretty good, I think. All right, so the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to do some of the highlights, okay? And these are just little squigglies. So I'm going to create a different layer. All of these layers, by the way, the dog, the nose, the eyes, and also these highlights are going to be under the outline layer. So the brush I'm using for this is going to be Old Beach. I believe that is under, okay, it's also under Artistic. And we're gonna do white for that. Okay, so this one is also pressure sensitive like many of the brushes. So light hardly shows up. If I push down hard, it is more obvious. Okay, good. So for this, I'm gonna be doing a few highlights in different places. I love this brush because it looks like actual paint. That's what I love about it. But you can do little highlights. For the nose, I usually just do a little thing like that. Maybe I'll do, you know, something that looks a little bit more, I don't know, like paint. Sometimes I'll do highlights on these things here. These little eyelids, I guess. I'll do highlight here. Sometimes you can look at the original image and see if there's anything that would make sense to have a highlight on. Otherwise, just use your judgment. Have fun with it. Maybe here too. I'm gonna do some here. I'm actually going to make this a little bit smaller. Just bring some attention to that. Do it here. It just adds a nice little touch to make it look almost like more like a painting. I might actually put a little highlight here. I'm actually gonna do one little thing to his lip here because I want it to be, whoops. Oh no, that was right. Okay. There's little white spots in this brush that I use for the colors and it throws me off sometimes. But, okay. And there we go, I'm pretty happy with that. I think he looks pretty good. Sometimes I'll add it to the eyes. Just to add a little bit more dimension, I guess. But you don't have to. You can do it wherever you want to. Okay. So there's that. Now we're gonna move on to the background. Now there is already a background layer here, and you can just select the color. For this, I normally do a dark blue. Hold on, this is not visible. Make sure it's visible. There you go. Oh, that's not the right one. Sorry. This is the one. Okay, good. Okay, good. So I do kind of a dark blue or a dark purple. And then this was actually something I did separately. These stars I created separately. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste that layer. I'm gonna have to maybe make a separate video on how to do the stars, but essentially they're just dots. Just to knock this out now, it's just dots from a soft brush. Nah, let me just show you. Okay, so in order to do the stars, I use, again, the soft brush, which I believe is under airbrushing. Yeah, soft brush, okay. You're gonna want to make it real small. And actually, I almost would just hide the rest of the layers and just focus on this for now. Okay, so we're doing the stars here, and what you're basically going to do is, let's see, just make some dots, and you can make some that are brighter by pushing down harder, make some that are not as bright. Okay, so you're just gonna do this for a while. Make a little section. You don't have to fill the whole page with this, okay? That's the great thing about this, is you do not need to do that, and I will show you why in a moment. Okay, so you can get some that are closer together too. The stars are not perfect. Finish doing your dots. Then click on copy, go to a new layer, click on paste. Okay, so now you're going to get those stars twice. You're going to move it over. You can rotate it if you want so it doesn't look the same. Move it over like so. And then you're going to combine those two layers, and you can do that by pinching them. Okay, then you're going to copy that layer, make a new one, and paste it. And move it down. And that's basically how you create those stars. Now you're gonna repeat that process until you fill the whole screen. Keep on merging those layers and then you can fill the entire thing with those stars. So at this point I have my entire sky full of stars just by doing that same process. And you may see some repetition of the pattern, which that kind of bothers me. So I'm gonna actually just go and erase some. All I'm doing is using the eraser and the monoline brush for that. And I'm gonna go and just erase some where it sort of looks too similar or like it's repetitive. I really shouldn't worry about them too much right there because the dog's gonna be there, but anywhere else where it looks a little bit repetitive, I'm just going to erase a few stars just to make it look less like a pattern. Okay, so that's fine. That is okay. So now we're gonna add in our other layers just so we can see our dog again. Okay, and the outline. And now we are going to add a nebula. This is fun. So we want to make sure this is behind the dog. So this is down here, essentially above the background color, since that's not part of this, but okay, good. So to do that, go to your brush, and I think this is under, actually, this is one that I use sometimes. I do use cloud sometimes. That's kind of fun. I'll show you what that looks like. It looks kind of like that. So that's kind of fun too, but then I accidentally discovered Nebula, and now I like that one. So Nebula is under Luminance. You'll find it right there. I didn't make any fancy adjustments to that. I usually default to pink as my color for the Nebula, and this is also pressure sensitive, so if you do real light, it's not gonna show too much. If you press harder, it's going to be more vibrant. So I usually position the Nebula right around here. Sometimes I'll mix it in with kind of like a turquoise color. Actually, usually I start with the turquoise. That's cool. Ooh, maybe I'll just stick with that. I like that without the pink because then it stands out more. So yeah, you can do it right behind. You can put wherever you want, honestly. So I may just do that. This kind of neat. It's a little bit too bright though in one section. I might throw in a little bit of purple. I'm curious how that's going to turn out. I can't really see it. Just a little touch of it. There we go. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave it like that, actually. This is on its own layer again. Now I'm going to create one more layer above that, and I'm going to kind of make a vignette. Is that how you say that? I'm probably saying it wrong, making myself sound stupid, but that's okay. So for that, I'm going to use a soft brush. Again, I am on a different layer here. You can do multiply. It doesn't really matter. You can do normal or multiply. I'm going to get the size of this up a bit. So I have it to like 25, 30, 35, something like that. And then I'm just going to go around the edges like that. And it just kind of, I don't know, you can kind of control where the attention is. So as you can see, this is a little bit dark, a little darker than I want. Okay, so you can, of course, you can change the opacity of the brush itself, or if you click here, you can adjust it like so. And so you can do it to whatever works for what you want. So I'm actually going to change the background. I'm curious to see if the background looks better as more of a dark blue versus purple. Yeah, I'm going to do that instead. And I just realized that the stars layer was actually in the wrong place. So where it should be, I had it up here. As you can see, it's actually supposed to be behind the dog at least. But typically I put it at the very bottom. So right above the background. But that is where it should be instead of on top of the dog, because I was about to share this with the stars over that layer. So anyways, there you go. That's the simplicity of how you make these little galaxy animals. I hope you enjoyed that.